After a successful UFC 313 card at T-Mobile Arena, the UFC heads down the road and back to the Apex for UFC Vegas 104, headlined by a middleweight rematch between Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. The welterweights are going to be taking the co-main event slot here, as we have Zaleski going up against Choi and Njokuani, and although it is a lackluster card overall, there are some fun, entertaining fights that can be had, and I can't wait to see if they actually live up to some of the hype that a lot of these hardcore fans are giving to some of these spots. But again, any event means that there are betting opportunities, so we're going to try to take advantage of as many of those as possible and being smart about it as well. All right, reminder, this is the quick picks version of the UFC Vegas 104 breakdown, where I go right to the point of every single matchup, but I will be leaving out details in some of these matchups. And if you're looking for more in-depth breakdowns on these fights, I dropped the MMA Lawcast on Sunday, talking about every single fight on the card, 3 to 4 minutes each. Check the link in the description below, or just check out the YouTube channel, and you'll find that full card breakdown there. If you're thinking and wondering why I went with a certain matchup, I got exactly all the details in that podcast. All right. Hope you're laced up and ready to go, because we're off and running with the first fight of the night between Nunes, Duben, and Judice. I believe Judice is the superior striker here, and I believe her ability to put together solid combinations, utilize good footwork, utilize her range management, and that should allow her to eventually set up a trap to knock Duben out within 2 rounds. Next up, Josiane Nunes going up against Priscilla Cachoeira. This should be a meme-worthy fight from beginning to end, but it could also be a barn burner. And I have to lean with Cachoeira, as I believe she has a little bit more tools in the shed, especially when it comes to the striking realm. Usually her durability is quite good too, and I look for her to utilize some nasty striking, maybe even land some good cuts on Nunes, and I believe that will allow her to win this fight on the scorecards. Next up, Daniel Barez going up against Andre Lima. I believe Lima is the overall better fighter here. I believe his defensive grappling will allow him to keep this in the Muay Thai realm, or even enjoy some grappling success of his own. But look for Lima to touch up Barez and eventually find that finish. Next up, Carlos Vera going up against Josias Musasa. Musasa making his UFC debut after earning his contract through the Contender Series this past season. I believe his power and his explosiveness is going to be too much for Vera, although the odds are a little bit wide, and I am intrigued by the Vera by submission prop. I think Musasa still comes out victorious by knockout. Next up, Dr. Nurgozhay going up against Brandison Ribeiro. I believe Nurgozhay will walk through Ribeiro in this matchup, utilizing his grapple-heavy approach, taking Ribeiro to the ground, and eventually finding a dominant enough position to find the finish. Next up, Stephanie Luciano going up against Sam Hughes. I believe Luciano's striking advantage here will prove for her. It might play out closer than the odds indicate, and Hughes is always a dog when she's at this plus money, but I still believe Luciano is the superior striker, and that will allow her to land more damage and make it look better for the judges. Next up, Waldo Cortes-Acosta going up against Ryan Spann. Very weird fight here as Spann comes up to the heavyweight division, but I believe Cortes-Acosta's ability to keep Spann at bay, utilizing some decent enough takedown defense, keeping this fight in the stand-up realm, and I think that we'll see Cortes-Acosta start to run away with this matchup in deep water, winning this fight on the scorecards. Next up, Su Young Yu going up against AJ Cunningham. I believe Yu will utilize his grappling advantage here, eventually getting this fight to the ground and pretty much twisting up Cunningham into a pretzel. I think Yu wins this matchup with relative ease, and I think he ends up winning it by submission. Next up, Damon Blackshear going up against Cody Gibson. I believe Blackshear's grappling advantage, I think he'll be able to keep Gibson at bay, utilizing his power striking approach, wrapping Gibson up, keeping him on the defensive, and that should eventually lead to Blackshear grinding this fight out and winning it on the scorecards. Next up, Alexander Hernandez going up against Kurt Holobaugh. I believe Holobaugh should be able to dictate the pace of this matchup, which usually is not a good sign for Hernandez. That will lead to Holobaugh to touching up Hernandez over the course of 15 minutes and potentially even finding a finish after a bad takedown attempt from Hernandez in deep water. Look for Holobaugh to get this win either by straight up knockout or even a club and sub opportunity. Next up, Seung-Woo Choi going up against Kevin Vallejos. I believe this is a horrible matchup for Choi. He might have the output advantage here against Vallejos, but I think it's just a matter of time before Vallejos is able to crash the pocket, land those big shots on Choi, and eventually put him clean out. Co-main event time between Njokuani and Elizio Zaleski. I believe Njokuani should be able to replicate what Randy Brown was able to do against Zaleski, utilizing a distance striking approach, maybe even mixing it up in the clinch a little bit with his Muay Thai. But I think the most damage here will come from the Njokuani side, as he at least wins 2 out of the 3 rounds and winning this fight on the scorecards. Next up, the main event, as we got the rematch between Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. This is a rematch of a fight that took place 2 years ago, and Vettori came out victorious by decision. I expect him to replicate that result here, as I believe his ability to mix it up in the clinch and land his improving striking approach should be able to shut down the over-aggressive nature of Dolidze's game. Look for Vettori to outpoint him, outstrike him, outgrapple him, and win this fight on the scorecards. There you guys go. Quick picks for UFC Vegas 104. Tomorrow, I will be back for the free parlay, Lockheed Trinity, Lockheed Two-Step, and not to mention the Cage Warriors 184 Legacy Warriors podcast, breaking down that full card for you guys. I'll see you guys then. Peace.